Coming up, it's a brand new episode of Live from My Office right after this. David Hochberg and Team Hochberg are at it again with something that amounts to perks at work. It's an affinity program, meaning a benefit program for your employees. I think the best person to describe this would be David Hochberg, who tells us what in fact it is.
A real estate package to the business, to the employees of those businesses. If they're looking to refinance, you get a deep discount. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, we've partnered with realtors throughout the United States and title companies throughout the United States to offer substantial discounts. So we're able to offer your employees, if you're a company owner or a benefits manager or HR manager, huge discounts on refinancing and huge discounts if your employees are buying or selling a home.
So here's the deal. You would actually have something that's not going to cost you any money as a company, presented as a benefit to your employees, which can mean they're going to lower their purchase price. Their appraisal value is going to be benefited by this. You get an appraisal credit, a realtor credit, a lender credit, a title credit. It all adds up to savings and happier employees. How do you get more information? Go to 855-56-DAVID. That's the phone number. Call up, leave a message, ask your questions, or go to 56david.com and drop David Hochberg an email. Another great idea from Team Hochberg and David Hochberg at 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. Let's go, company benefits managers. Let's do something for you and your people. Welcome again to Live from My Office. My name is Steve Cochran. I'm happy you're here. And I want to thank you. We just got information on our ratings, if you will, and a big jump in audience in the last month, thanks to you. So for all the new subscribers, glad you're here. Feel free to go back wherever you're listening on whatever platform to any of the first 5,000 episodes we've done. It's not 5,000, but it's a lot. And you'll be able to go back and hear a ton of great guests that you missed out on. And if you don't have that kind of time, and I think you should make time for a project as important as that. But if you don't have that kind of time, just keep listening here, because wherever you're listening, on whatever platform, you subscribe, rate, and review, and we're just going to keep bringing you great content. And again, we thank you for the increase in numbers again as it continues to grow. What grows? Not my hair. This podcast, Live from My Office, where today you're going to hear my friend Paul Coyte. He's our London bureau chief. And our London bureau chief is in the middle of a very busy city of London, because as we record this on June 2nd and 3rd, we have the Queen's Platinum Jubilee underway. So whenever you hear this, you'll know that that history has been made. 70 years on the job, and lots to talk to Paul about. But some of the things we didn't get to. Here's some fun facts about the Queen. Do you know the Queen travels with her own blood? It's not creepy. It's just in case she's needed. A transfusion of some sort. They have her own blood ready to go. I don't know who's in charge of the blood, but I'm sure they have a fancy name and it's in a fancy carrier. Sadly, the Queen became the Queen when her father died while she was on a trip abroad. Ever since then, every royal family trip meant that each person would have to have a black mourning outfit, mourning, so that they would be prepared for the worst. They're almost never used, obviously, but they're ready to go. The Queen also travels with her own tea kettle. How British is that? Her skirt will never, ever, ever, ever blow up. It hasn't, and it won't, whether she was a young woman or now at 96. Why? Well, because no matter how strong the wind blows, the royal skirts are weighted. How about that for a fun fact? Everyone in the royal family has to dress formally for dinner. Oh, that wouldn't fly at my house. The Queen always wears bright colors. Why? Because she's a fashionista? Well, of course she is. But no, the neon is worn because wherever she goes, big crowds gather, and it makes her, at 5 feet 4 inches tall, easier to see. The royal family on Christmas opens their presents Christmas Eve. And finally, and I love this fun fact, Prince Charles has a guy. You got a guy? He's got a guy whose specific job is to iron his shoelaces. And no, I'm not making that up. Prince Charles has a guy that irons his shoelaces. And you wonder why he's the least popular royal? Hey. So there you have it, a little bit of a setup for the Platinum Jubilee conversation with my friend Paul Coyte, which happens when we come back on Live from My Office. Before we continue, let's talk about golf and your golf clubs. There's a guy named Paul Taylor. Paul Taylor has tons of tour experience in those tour club fitting vans. What are those? That's where the best people who play the game of golf go to get their clubs fit, their clubs made, their clubs tailored to them. Why shouldn't you have the same experience? Well, you can at Cantini. If you're at all serious about golf, this is a no-brainer. But even if you're a casual golfer, you'll get so much more enjoyment out of the experience if you have clubs that are properly fit to you. They have certified specialists who can handle all levels of club fitting, from the beginning golfer to the scratch golfer and everybody in between. We're talking about shaft and grip and loft and lie, drivers, irons, putters, full bag. Oh, my. And by the way, they're not going to force you to buy any clubs. They have clubs if you want to buy them, and they'll help you get them. But that's not the point. The point is to get you fit, and Paul Taylor and his people are the best at it. And there's no stupid questions. They're actually going to make it fun. You wanted to make an appointment, or maybe for Father's Day coming up? What a great gift for your dad or your husband or your brother. But call them up. Make that appointment. You can do it at 630-260-8199. Say, I heard about Paul Taylor and club fitting. I want to make an appointment because I want to do a nice thing for Father's Day, and they'll tell you how you can make that gift happen. 630-260-8199. CantiniGolf.com. Spell it CANTIGNY. CantiniGolf.com. This is Live from My Office, a special royal edition, as I celebrate here alone in my office the Platinum Jubilee of the amazing monarch, Queen Elizabeth, 70 years on the throne. And oh, are they having a party in the UK, all over the UK, and certainly in London. This is June 2nd when I'm having this conversation, and the conversation is not just with me and the voices in my head. It's with my friend Paul Coyte, live in London. Paul, what a day, what a week.
It's unbelievable. There's bunting coming out of my ear hole, is what there is.
I didn't know that.
Union Jack.
You should see a doctor.
It's like, you know, when they do the old magician trick and they pull flags and things and they just keep coming down their mouth. That's what it's like. It's just like if anybody coming up to me, I say, you want some bunting? Stick your hand in my ear. There it is. Union Jack. Pictures of the Queen. 70 written everywhere. They're hanging from houses. Honestly, it's like the end of World War II all over again. It's like VE Day. It's just like, it's unbelievable. We have and
parades everywhere, right? Parades all over.
You know what? Even walking down the street, people are just forming themselves into a line and making a parade and waving and walking down and just waving. Because the thing is, I don't know whether you noticed that the Queen, when she waves, there is a particular wave, because you don't just wave like you or I would wave. It's just it's a very limp wrist and then just turn slightly, because apparently waving constantly, you can get some sort of bad wrist injury. So
that's interesting. So there's a medical reason for that, because it sort of looks like, for people not familiar with the royal wave, it looks like she's trying to catch an egg. Like if someone was throwing her an egg, it looks like she's holding her hand in that position.
That's a very good point. It's like catching an invisible light egg that sails through the sky, and then she tosses it away, and then waits for the next one to arrive. And that's what it is. It's a little circular motion, not too big you wave. And because the thing is, you don't want to wave like a normal person. That's not something you want to do, because that would make the Queen.
Now, I have an amazing statistic for you, my friend.
Yeah.
She has served, there have been 14 U.S. presidents since she became the Queen. 14, starting with Harry Truman. Did you know there have also been 14 prime ministers that have served the Queen? 14 presidents, 14 prime ministers.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow. You know what? 70 years It may even surprise some people that 14, you think maybe there'd be more than that.
Right.
But she survived everybody. Everybody's come and gone. They've all come to the palace. They've all visited. They've all done their thing. I mean, you've seen The Crown. We're getting up to date there. So most of the prime ministers on there that have been in. So some lasted longer than others, like Margaret Thatcher, who apparently, whether she got on with, according to The Crown, apparently not. There was some she liked, some she didn't. But still, the prime minister would always have to go to the Queen to discuss exactly what's going on in government because she's the head of state. Although she would give her opinion, it's not really done that they would actually expect the Queen to say, well, this is what's going on. But the Queen would always know exactly what's going on.
Do we know, has there ever been a rumor that she ever just put her foot down and said, no, I will have my corgis attack your leg if we do this or that? Has she ever done that?
I don't know whether she has done that. I'm just trying to think whether she has. I'm sure there's been something where she's gone, I'm not very happy about this. Why do you think you should do this? She's very well read and tries to keep up on everything, but it is a bit of a bizarre situation. I think this is when we go back to Charles I and Oliver Cromwell, and that's the reason that Charles I was overthrown, because he was doing that and just saying, well, what I say goes because I'm the king. And it was like, well, actually, you know what? We can't do that anymore. So ceremonially, we'll let you know, and ceremonially, you can be the head of state and say what you like, but in reality, it's not really a sensible thing if the Queen decides to run everything. So probably not is the answer to your question.
Now, she is 96 years old. Do we know what her state of health is?
You know what? The thing is, I think probably as good as a 96-year-old could be. She gets around. Apparently, she's got a new, I don't know whether you heard about the golf cart. Have you heard about the new golf cart?
No, what's happening?
This was used, now when was this? This was used recently for her to get around. This was at the racing. So she's in this golf cart, but I think it costs about £60,000. This is a very expensive, like about what would that be? About $80,000?
Yeah,
like
yeah. And an average an average really fancy golf cart here might be $10,000. So that's a very fancy golf cart.
What I don't know is where the extra like $70,000 comes from. Whether it's just extra comfy seats or whether it's just pimped up. I really don't know. I don't know what you do with it. Whether there's jewels on the side, but she's got or whether, to be honest with you, whether the golf cart company actually thought, it's the Queen, we can probably stick a couple of notes on this. So maybe that's what it was.
So she will continue to reign until she passes.
Over us.
Over you.
Long and victorious. Yes.
Yes, until she passes on. But is there any rumor that after Sunday she may step aside?
No, that's never going to happen. You're never going to, after 70 years, and then think, you know what, I think that's it. I'll leave it now and I'll go and retire. When you're 96, you might as well go the whole way. There's no chance that's going to happen. I can just imagine in a couple of days, the Queen announces her abdication. We've got absolutely zero chance whatsoever. But there isn't. It's not going to happen. So we could have the monarch with the longest reign and the way things are going, followed by, the monarch with the shortest reign. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, that's true.
Charles is well into his 70s now. So he probably thought, maybe I'll have a good 30, maybe I'll have a silver jubilee with 25 years. It ain't going to happen. I mean, unless he goes well into 100, he's not even going to make a silver jubilee, but he'll just have to try really hard.
No, he will not. And then, of course, Prince William is standing by. So let's talk about the family for a second. Will Harry and Meghan be in town?
Yeah, apparently they're in town, but they weren't on the balcony. So the balcony, this has been going on for forever, whereas the family will walk out onto the balcony of Buckingham Palace and wave, and the crowds will look up and wave at his mom, and everybody will smile, and it'll be lovely. No sign of Harry and Meghan, and no sign of Prince Andrew either. So they weren't on there. Plenty of family around, and I believe they're in town, and I believe whether they be peace talks or whatever. There was also rumours that they were being told that if you're making your little Netflix documentary, don't think you can film in Buckingham Palace, and don't think you can film yourself during the Platinum Jubilee, because it ain't about you after all. It's actually about the Queen. So none of the filming. So I don't know whether that actually went down pretty badly, and it's like, well, what are we going to do now then? Maybe they're just able to film a couple of excerpts for the show. I don't know. But no, they weren't on the balcony, and I was looking for them. I didn't see them there.
So she is the longest-serving monarch. She kicked Queen Victoria's butt. How would I say that in proper English? That Queen Victoria served for 61 years. The Queen Elizabeth is now in her 70th. So what would the proper way to say that be?
She passed. Well, actually, probably passed is probably not a good idea. Probably not the right sort of word you want to use in this sort of time in a reign, is it? So she probably, no, I probably couldn't use, she did that all over Queen Victoria's reign because that would be rude. So I couldn't say that either. Let's just say that she's beaten her into submission. That doesn't really sound good either, does it? That doesn't really sound. It sounds too like wrestling. I can't imagine the Queen or Queen Victoria being into wrestling. All we can say is that we are terribly proud.
So you mentioned Andrew won't be there.
Who died in 1901.
1901, okay.
Andrew, and 1901, it was 1901, she died. And interestingly, and this is true, Edward VII, her son, who was a little philanderer, by the way, 1901, he only reigned for 9 years because he was knocking on as well. So obviously his mum, he's thinking, when am I going to get the hat?
Sure.
And that's why Edwardian times are named after Edward VII. And so he took over from Queen Victoria. So he only got 9 years, which then again, it's not bad going considering he was quite old anyway.
Yeah. Well, again, and Charles will get his run, but his run may be a short one.
Could be.
Now, look, here's the deal. Charles is of an age where, and God forbid, but Charles could die before his mother.
Yeah, could be. So then
it goes to you.
To me. It goes to me, but I'm too busy right now.
Yeah, you are.
I may pass on it and then give it to William. William is ready. I think William will be fine with the hat, and so it will go to him. But the thing is, I've probably got more chance. I'm further up the line of succession than Harry is now. So
Sure.
There's more chance of me being king than Harry. They won't let that happen.
Now you mentioned Andrew. Andrew, of course, involved in the scandal. Did he have sex with young women under the age of 18? All of that. So he probably won't be seen throughout the celebration, will he?
No, he probably won't be. I mean, I think the idea, he's historically the Queen's favourite son. But for the good of the monarchy and for the good of the country, it's like, well, you really have embarrassed us quite badly again there, Andrew, especially with all the stuff of yes, I was dancing in a nightclub and the girl that said, he sweated a lot. And he said, well, actually, no, I didn't sweat. Do you remember that one? That was the thing that he came out with a couple of years ago. I don't actually sweat. And the way he did that was very crafty, and it's like really stupid because I think we can probably all see through that, is that he was saying because due to when I was fighting for my country in the Falkland Islands, which was 40 years ago, that was where I picked up the condition. So what he's doing there is not only denying the fact he sweats, but also saying to what a great army man and a great patriot he is as well, to throw that all in the same sentence, which rather stinks of someone trying to get out of it, if you ask me. So everybody always looks at him. You never see him on a hot day. That's the thing in this country now. If ever it's a hot day, you won't see him because you always know that everybody's going to be looking for the sweat. So he will not be involved in any rigorous exercise in public, never on a hot day, and always surrounded by about 3 air conditioning units. So you will never see him anywhere.
And there are
about what he does.
There are royal consorts that carry the portable air conditioning units behind him?
Yes. Oh no, they're not portable. They're the full-on house air conditioning units, the great big ones. So they just walk around carrying those, and I mean, what a job that is. But everybody in the royal household has to start somewhere. So the royal air conditioning unit holder will just follow Prince Andrew. Although the interesting thing is, since he's lost a lot of the money that he would get from the royal family, he's having to pay for his own. Not only his own air conditioning units, but also the people that carry them as well. So that's very expensive.
It is expensive. Now, why don't we hear more about Princess Anne?
Yeah, she's still around. She was at Tripping the Colour earlier. She's still there. She's still part of the firm. You'll still see her.
Okay.
But, she's probably not. I think she's still the representative. I think she's our representative on the International Olympic Committee. So, I mean, obviously, she's busy. So, because that's a very busy job.
Oh, of course it is.
But she's there. You still see Princess Anne around.
Yeah, and the youngest son, I forget his name. Is it Skippy?
Skippy, yeah.
So there's Andrew. Oh, it's Edward. I'm being told it's Edward. Andrew, Edward. Anne, and Edward. Is Edward the palace drunk? What does he do?
No, Edward is not. I mean, he's not really. He was the one that wanted to have life in the theatre, that realised that the army was not the life for him, and wanted to join the theatre. And then we don't really. He's one that's drifted into the background a little bit. Very nice big house, and nice family and everything. Does stuff, but you only see him really visibly when you see it, like the Jubilee, like you see today. I mean, he'll still be doing official functions for the royal family, but he'll be like opening up a new play centre, or you know what I mean, or something. And not that I'm ever going to knock a play centre, or he'll be opening, a brand new by royal commission.
Yeah, he's in show business,
or something. You know what I mean? Something like that. It's something the Queen. It's like the Queen's going to look at that and go, you know what? Not really big enough for me. I'll pass it to Charles. Charles will go, oh, you know what? I can never. So it works down the line, and then it'll probably stop off with Edward, and Edward will go. And so then it'll be by royal commission. So and everybody will be very happy.
So speaking of show business, many celebrities throughout this Platinum Jubilee. Is there anything that stands out with famous folks that people there are excited about?
Yeah, there's the Royal Honours List. Now, you're familiar with the Royal Honours List. This happens twice a year. There's the Queen's Birthday Honours, and then there's the New Year's Honours. So what happens is that members of the public, although usually, to be honest with you, Steve, famous people, will get awards from the Crown. So there's a few. You'd get your knighthood, which is your top one. So that would be, you would be Sir Steve Cochran. So that you get actors of a certain level. Sir Anthony Hopkins, Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Michael Caine. So if you're a very well-respected actor, the chances are, and you're living into your 70s, you're going to be knighted. Now, the second one down is a CBE, which is Commander of the British Empire, not quite your knighthood. So if you get a CBE, as honoured as you are, you're going to be pretty pissed off that you didn't actually get the knighthood or become a dame, because the female knighthood is dame. So CBE is like, listen, you got the silver medal. You're close, but you got the silver medal. Then below that is the OBE, which is the Order of the British Empire. And then below that is the MBE, which sports stars, for example, if you're like Harry Kane, for example, he's doing well. He's the England captain and scoring lots of goals, very well known. He's given an MBE, a member of the British Empire. Now, there's lots and lots of other awards which are given to the members of the public for charity work and various good work, which is nice. But the thing is, we only hear about the celebrities, and we look at the celebrities and you think, why have you got that? All it is just the fact that you've been successful in your job and you're quite well known, so therefore you get an award for it. So to sum up, obviously I'm bitter because I don't have one. But
I mean,
the award system goes.
As you say, the levels of awards go down. There is a AFC, which I believe is a fine chap. Have you not gotten an AFC?
Chap, yeah. No, I've been called, but also AFC is also Arsenal Football Club. So I don't really look in that. So that's why I turned down my AFC purely for the initials. So I had to say no to the AFC, a fine chap.
By the way, I've heard that the Queen is a supporter of Arsenal. Is that true?
How could that be? Where did you see that?
I've seen it. National Geographic, that famous soccer publication here in America. National Geographic said she's an Arsenal supporter. She can't support any team.
That's nonsense. Listen, National Geographic, if they want to go over and take photographs of Ayers Rock in Australia and find the indigenous Amazon people that live in the rainforest, that's great. But keep away from football and keep away from the Queen. That's a slander. That's a slander on our Queen, the fact that she supports Arsenal Football Club. Outrageous.
Well said by you, and I couldn't agree more. All right, so she has 2 birthdays. Why is that?
Yeah. Right, she has 2 birthdays because, get this. The reason I believe to be the case, because her birthday's in January, at the end of January, and then she has the official birthday. So it's because the weather's nicer, because it's in June, and they can have the tripping of the colours, and the way to celebrate the Queen's birthday would be nicer in the summer than it would be in the winter. I actually think it's as simple as that. I don't know whether there's... Yeah, I believe that to be the case. I mean, I may be wrong, but very rarely am I wrong when it comes to royal things, as you know, running your bureau over here. So I believe that's the reason. It's as simple as that. It's just because summer is better.
Well, I mean, we should all go with that plan. And she has two nicknames that I'm aware of, Lilibet and Cabbage.
Cabbage? Really?
Yes. Of course, that's being reported by the National Geographic, so that could be a problem.
Yeah. You can imagine how do you address the Queen as you think, I'm just going to go, hello, Cabbage. How are you? How do you think that would be? You would be in the tower quicker than something through a goose, wouldn't you? I mean, Cabbage. Lilibet, you can understand it, kid, because Elizabeth, short for Lilibet. Lilibet, but Cabbage, I mean, who would actually have the nerve, who is alive now, to call her Cabbage? Maybe the Duke of Edinburgh, who's no longer with us, I mean, probably could have called her Cabbage, but anybody else? Honestly, I just dread to think.
Yeah,
I'd love to try that. Just for fun. Yeah, just for fun.
And I don't mean to upset you with these facts that I'm throwing your way. Now, I do know that she served in World War II, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, but she was young. I mean, it was expected of everybody that was, even in the royal family, that they were serving. So, yeah, she was doing so. I'm trying to think how old she would have. She was born in 1926. So she would have been late teens. So, yes, she did. I mean, put it this way, she didn't lead the troops, into Normandy. I mean, that's never going to be the fact. But, yeah, she did, like most other people. So they thought it'd be a good idea if the royal family did serve during World War II. So, yes, she did. That's correct. But she's not an Arsenal fan.
Yes, of course. We will never bring that up again. Is it true that she met her late husband, Prince Philip, when she was a child?
Yes, I believe that to be true, because the thing is, because he was a member of the Greek royal family, and you go to a party, you meet up with family and long distance cousins, etc. They're all going to be royals, so it's not likely that she's going to meet. He was working as a plumber at some place in East London back in 1933. That was never going to be the case. So yeah, they met as children and then brought together years later. Whether they actually remembered it, I'm not sure. But then their eyes met across a crowded room or crowded palace or wherever it was, and everything after that was all lovely. And they married in 1947, I believe.
Is it also true that she's related to her late husband?
Yeah, no comment on that, really. It's probably best that we leave that.
I understand.
I think we know the answer, but I think it's probably best if we don't mention that.
I understand at the wedding, and this number seems perfectly believable, they received 2,500 wedding gifts. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Is that just from people that were at the wedding, or that's it? I mean, the thing is, they have to declare everything. So any gift that is given, and it's the same as politicians as well, has to be declared. It's written down, it's noted, and then you might... Actually, I've never done that. I've never sent a present to the Queen. Because if I just... Well, that's why you didn't get...
I will get a letter.
That's why you didn't get the Fine Chap Award.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah. So if I just send something, I don't know, I just think of something nice, and just wrap it up, send it to the Queen as a gift for the Jubilee of my affection and admiration over the years ruling our wonderful country. Please accept this tea set, and I may get a letter back saying thank you, dear, and from the Queen on behalf of the Queen, thanking me. The Queen wants to personally thank you for the full tea set that you've sent us, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Because then, if I do get an award later on in the year, we'll know that's the way to go.
Well, it's the same everywhere. When you go to a wedding, you're concerned that you may be buying a duplicate gift. Like the gift you buy may be also purchased by someone else. And bridal registries, which they didn't have when the Queen was married, are similar to that. Yeah. So 2,500 gifts. I'm told that over 2,000 of those were blenders.
Really? Because blenders were particularly big in 47. But when I say they were big, They were humongous things. It was like computers that got small, those great big blenders.
Yeah.
And they had a whole room. That's why, it all makes sense. That's why the room, which is just, so where you see them walk out into the balcony, there's a window to the left, which is known as the Buckingham Palace blender room. That's the reason, because of all the blenders. Although we didn't actually call them blenders. We call them liquidizers.
Oh,
so
of course you do.
it's actually officially the liquidizer room. So yeah, that's actually true. But the thing is, has it ever bothered you if you've gone to a wedding and there's a wedding list, and I mean, did it ever really worry you that they got the same twice?
No, it doesn't matter to me.
It's just pick something up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. That's
something.
exactly right. It doesn't matter. It's like, I'm buying this, you deal with it.
Exactly. And I'll just go for two things. I don't care if they're related. It's a pillow and it's a mug. And I'll send them because they're on the list, and it works out to like 50 quid, and then I'll just send those and then just tick them off the list. And if anybody else gets them, then so what? Then they can change them. So maybe there's another reason I don't have an MBE.
Now, I do have some more fascinating facts here, and I know you're short on time, but let me get through these.
No, I'm always here for you.
That the Queen doesn't have a driver's license or a passport. This doesn't surprise me because we all know who she is. She's the most famous face in the world. It's fine. The driver's license thing may be a wee bit dangerous, but I'm guessing she's not driving on the Grand Prix at this point in her life. But you told me something that was hilarious during the pandemic, how she was identified on Zoom calls.
Yeah. There's been quite a few of those, and this is when she couldn't get out to meet the people, and she would do a lot. You know, she still at her age would get out and meet loads of people all the time, and she was doing Zoom calls from Buckingham Palace. And see, the thing is, and it's awkward and tricky. For if you meet the Queen, what do you say? How do you deal with it? You're always told, you nod, you do this, But so, and then if you meet her in the flesh, then you know very well. Yes, Mum. Nice to meet you, Mum. And then what do you do? I do a bit of this. Thank you very much. And she moves on. But with Zoom calls, when you're looking at them, they seem to wait for ages. So the Queen is on a Zoom call with 4 or 5 other people. And then the little labels are underneath, and then she had the Queen underneath, which I just love. So it's like, Ray, you're John, which is always helpful for people, because if you don't know people when you've got meetings with work and you think, because I'm terrible with names, I'm looking down here, John, okay, Steve, all right, oh, yeah, okay, your name's Deborah, and the Queen. So, hello, the Queen.
Yeah. It's so helpful to actually have it say the Queen. What is the fascination with the corgis? She's owned over 30 corgi doggies. Why corgis?
She loves a corgi. Yeah, she just always loves a corgi. Loves a corgi. It's her favorite breed of dog. And you can buy, I don't think they're real, but if you want to buy a stuffed corgi, and there are places like if you go to Windsor Castle, you get a little toy corgi. You can imagine all the memorabilia that you can buy from all the royal houses and castles everywhere, and you actually get your little corgi. But she loves a corgi, always loved a corgi. So, why now? Would she change now? I don't think so. But, it'd be nice to have something else. But she loves a corgi.
Well, it's a delightful little dog.
It is a delightful little dog.
That's exactly right. Now, the corgis that she has, and the idea that you can buy this merchandise makes me wonder, have you seen any absolutely ridiculous merchandise for sale that is on the street? Because there must be someone on every corner selling Platinum Jubilee merchandise.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a Silver Jubilee spoon from 1977 when I was 10. Yeah, I do. I still have it. I mean, the thing is, it was a bit strange because it's sort of like a square shape. And when you add sugar, you never know exactly how much you're doing. So it's like a little shovel, but very nice. So I do still have that. Because I think they did that with schools. I think we made that they were available to all schools. I think we still had to pay for them, but I do still have mine. And mugs. I actually have a coronation mug from 52, which I think was my mum's, which I still have. But you can, the thing is, on the streets, they fridge magnets, really. I mean, there's fridge magnets. You can buy anything. It's when you go into Buckingham Palace and you go on the tour and you see still the amount of crap that you can buy, from jigsaws to aprons to anything. It's all available and all extremely tasteful. But whatever you want, is available. A crown? I don't know whether you could buy a crown or maybe a chair or maybe even a blender would be nice.
Yeah, you mean a liquidizer. I saw one other fact which amazed me, and would be shocked if you knew this. But according to sources here, the Queen ceremonially owns all of the dolphins in the seas. All of the dolphins in the seas. She owns all of them. Any of the UK waters, any waters that are traditionally British, United Kingdom waters, she owns all of the dolphins. What? Why?
So she owns the dolphins in waters. In around the Commonwealth, is that?
Yeah, or any of the Commonwealth nations. Yes, any of the the waters off Canada. She owns the dolphins there. Of course, they don't swim that far north, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, this is why she made so much money off of Flipper. When Flipper was on TV, she had rights of that. She made millions of dollars off of Flipper, and I could never understand why. But that'll be the reason.
Well,
the thing is, you could then have dolphins that are probably seek asylum, but all they have to do is just swim off Commonwealth waters, and then they will no longer be owned by the Queen. I don't think she's ever taken advantage of that. Or whether maybe she's done her own dolphin show at Buckingham Palace. You know when they always use the big toothbrush? That's always the act with the dolphin is quick. Now I'm going to clean the dolphin's teeth, which it's time for a new act as far as the dolphin's concerned.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely thought. Or did you see this? What is it? Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Well, she seems like a dedicated, beyond dedication, perfectly lovely person who has given her life to this duty.
Dolphins.
And to the dolphins. But there is a dark side to the Queen. I don't know if you know this. Tom Hanks was on a BBC show the other day, hosted by a woman. I'm not familiar with her work, but I think it's called The One Show. Is that a BBC show?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. He was on there the other day. He's looking about old there, Tom. I saw that. I thought he was looking old. Lovely man.
Yeah, and Tom Hanks was on talking about the fact that when he had a chance to have dinner with the Queen 10 years ago, he asked her what her favorite cocktail was, and she said she loves a martini, but I've seen conflicting reports that says she has a glass of champagne every night.
Oh, is that right? It's actually a pint. I know I don't want to be disrespectful, but I believe she likes a pint of warm beer from which is imported to her from a pub. This is true. I'll tell you a true story. I've got a friend of mine who is he went to eat. He's very posh, and you would think he was a member of the royal family when you met him, and he's a lovely guy. But he mixed in those circles for many years, and he said I had lunch with him in a restaurant in Mayfair, and very close to Berkeley Square, and he said to me, Paulie, I came here back in the 80s, and I was with this young girl, and I'd taken her out to dinner. And I sit here, and he said, and then a car drove up alongside, and you'll never guess who got out. I said, oh, he goes, it was the Queen and Prince Philip. I said, you were kidding me. I said, in this restaurant? And he said, yeah. He said, she walked in, and it was like a regular thing. I don't think he was lying to me. There's no reason he should have been lying to me. And said that she sat down with Prince Philip, and they had dinner in the restaurant. So there's my friend, and he's there trying to impress this date. Well, to this restaurant.
And the Queen walks in.
And in the table next door, it's the freaking Queen and Prince Philip on the next table. Can you imagine? Apparently there was no reason I disbelieved him, but he said it was true back in the 80s. Isn't that great?
That's such a crazy story. Why make that up? By the way, nothing thrills me more, even after all these years, to hear you say the phrase, the frickin' Queen. That's quite great.
I know.
Now I understand she wakes up every morning to a bagpiper. Does the bagpiper have a snooze alarm where you could smack it in the head and it would go off and then not wake her up again for 9 minutes?
Correct. Absolutely. That's where the snooze alarm came from. The original snooze. It was known as the McSnooze, is what it was. So the bagpipes would start. But the thing is, with bagpipes, they have to pump the bag for a while and make your own joke up there. So anyway, they getting the old thing going, and I'm doing this. I'm speaking to you. You can't see me, but I'm doing this with my elbow. So it takes a while to get it going. So the bagpiper would always have to start at least 5 minutes before his bagpipe alarm would go off, and then the Queen arm would go and then hit the bagpiper, and then the muck snooze would go on, and then he would have to let the pipes go down, and then start pumping again. So then the snooze would be exactly 10 minutes after the last one.
That's fantastic. All right, now.
True story.
Now she loves horse racing. Does she ever gamble?
I don't know. The thing is, she never carries cash. I mean, these days, not many people do, but you will never have the Queen carry cash. But she does love the horse racing. Absolutely adores the horse racing. She has lots of horses and always goes to the Derby, which happens actually this weekend, the Epsom Derby. So we'll go along to that, and that's where you may well see the golf buggy. And then she absolutely adores her racing, yeah. So, but whether it actually has a flutter, I'm not completely convinced because she doesn't have the cash. And let's face it, if she doesn't pay up and the horse loses, who are you going to go up to and say, "Excuse me, Your Royal Majesty, you owe me 10 quid because your horse lost"? You're not going to find yourself into that situation. So probably, firstly, being respectful, and also, you're not going to get your cash. As a bookie, you're not going to take the bet. So that would be the reason the Queen would not. Well,
but and all of us are subject to problems and addictions if we do something too much. I'm just glad that she wasn't a chronic gambler, because I would hate to see her at a window trying to use the crown to bet on one more pony to make up for what she's lost that day. That would be bad.
It's a horrible thought. It's an amusing but horrible thought that after 70 years on the throne, I don't think it's going to start now. And luckily, she's kept away from the devil's work, which is the gambling, and she's kept out of the way from that, and it just enjoys the horses for what they are. Equine masters of the racing.
All right, my final point, and congratulations to you and everyone throughout, not just London and England proper, but the greater UK, for this amazing woman. I mean, she really is an amazing woman, and she has lived an incredible life. So congratulations.
And the Empire. I mean, the Commonwealth, not the Empire. We don't have the Empire anymore. It's the Commonwealth. And they're all friends of ours. We never conquered them.
Listen, you'll always
went over to visit.
You'll always be an empire to me. But I love this last thing, and I certainly hope it's true. We always see the Queen with her purse, her handbag, on her shoulder. Yeah. She has it at the ready all the time. Now, I don't know what she carries in it. It doesn't really matter. But I saw something that said when she is seated, if she places the purse on the table in front of her, it means she wants to leave within 5 minutes. It's a signal to her people. And if she takes the bag off and places it on the floor next to her, it means she's not enjoying the conversation with the person she's talking to, and she needs to be rescued. I love that.
Oh, yeah, I know, but can you imagine that and you're having the conversation? Can you imagine what the feeling's like and you see her reach for the bag? And you're like, oh, God, no, she's reaching for the bag. So then what you've got to do, if you're in that situation, the unlikely situation where you're sitting next to the Queen, what do? You kick the bag? You kick the bag along a little bit just so you get that extra glorious 5 minutes that maybe you weren't going to get. Because if you've just said hello, yes, Your Majesty, and you're thinking, I'm doing great, and you see the bag appear, it would ruin you, wouldn't it? It would just ruin you. So maybe it's time for new signs. They need new secret signs.
Well, the reason I bring it up is after having this conversation with me, is your purse on your shoulder, on the table, or on the floor?
My purse is on my shoulder, and that's where it will stay, my friend. That was where it will stay with you. What's the sign? What is the sign? What's the sign for everything's okay?
That it would be, it would be on her person. It would be on her shoulder, where she'd be holding.
Yeah, it'll be on her person. My purse is on my person. Yeah, or my handbag. We call them handbags. Do you not call them handbags?
Purses, handbags, clutches, things of that nature.
Because a purse is what you keep your money in your handbag. So a lady would have a purse with the money in, and the purse would be inside the handbag. So never get the purse and the handbag mixed up when you're with the Queen, because she may put the purse down and you're thinking my conversation's over, whereas really all she's doing is probably maybe picking out some money to hand to you. Just as a little gesture.
30 years later, and you're still trying to teach me how to be proper, and I appreciate that. My best to you, and as you would say, the friggin' queen.
Yeah. Please don't take that out of context. I will never work again in this country.
That's the great Paul Coyte, live from London. I'm live from my office. Thank you to our charter sponsor. That's right, he's our charter sponsor and our title sponsor, David Hochberg and Team Hochberg at 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. I was talking to David Hochberg about these times in which we live, where the Fed continues to raise rates. That's not expected to change. It puts a real squeeze on mortgages and refis because those interest rates, they keep going up. So Team Hochberg, David Hochberg, what are you telling people?
I'm telling everybody right now, if you need a mortgage, your best play would be to take out an adjustable rate mortgage, also known as ARMs. You'll start reading stories and hearing horrific stories about how dangerous ARMs are, which is a ridiculous statement because ARMs are perfect for short-term plays. If you know that your son or daughter are going to be graduating high school and you're going to be putting a for sale sign up in 5 years and you want to pay off debt, and you want to pay off some credit card debt that you've accumulated because of COVID and because of the $5-6 a gallon gas, adjustable rate mortgage is a perfect product.
It's 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. He'll guide you through these difficult times and make sure you're saving the most money possible. And again, waiting is not your friend because the Fed has their mission, and that mission may not match with yours. 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. Thank you, Team Hochberg, our title sponsor on Live from My Office. Before we get to this week's this episode's charitable announcement, I want to mention this, and that is because of you and your continued effort to make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and listen to Live from My Office on all the podcast platforms, we've had a great run here, and that's not going to change. We're going to continue to do it. But in addition to that, a new stand-up tour we'll be announcing. There's also another big project coming up that I'm taking on. I'm very close to announcing it. And if you're listening to Live from My Office, you'll be one of the first to know. All right, so stand by on that because I mentioned we're recording this on June 2nd and 3rd. Talked about that earlier in this episode. And just a few days from now, I'll tell you what that secret project is. It's cool, and I'm excited about it, and I hope you will be too. But thank you for all the support through all the years and the continued support. The Steve Cochran Show and everybody involved with it appreciates it. And certainly Ross Cochran does. He's the executive producer of this Live from My Office and all of them. And Ross does great work, and we don't get this done without him. So thank you, Ross, for continuing to make Live from My Office happen. All right, let's talk about the charity worth mentioning this time around. You're always invited to tell me about one that you think we should mention. Do it at thecochranshow@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing and reading your emails. And, of course, if you write me something, it might end up on the show. We had a horrible tragedy in Uvalde, Texas. It's just unspeakable. There's no words that could make it better or more clear as to why it happened or what we should do about it. I always tell you the same thing. You need to vote in the primaries, and you need to vote out anybody who's not willing to do the right thing in any way, shape, or form for Americans like you and me. But know what your issues are, know what you believe in, and vote in the primaries. If you don't, the far right and the far left will, and the far left and the far right are the problem, not the solution. The charity is this one. It's called Victims First at victimsfirst.org. They've got 2 funds on GoFundMe right now, and you can donate to the folks who suffered in Buffalo at that Tops Market or Uvalde, and 100% of your donation will go directly to the victims. Again, you can earmark them, or you could make them a general donation for the Texas Elementary School Shooting Victims Fund or the Buffalo Mass Shooting Help the Families Fund. They are both easy to get to, and your generosity is extremely important. And 100% turnaround on your dollars is a pretty great thing to do. Victimsfirst.org. That's the charity we're talking about this time on Live from My Office. And I hope we see you next time. We've got a brand new Deep Six coming up. And Ross Cochran will join me, the previously mentioned executive producer of this show, for a little sit down, Ross Cochran and me, about what we've done, what we're doing, and what we're going to be doing next. That's coming up as well. One of your favorites from the greater Chicago area, one of the best anchors and reporters in the business, Mark Sapelsa, enjoying his retirement in Montana. We're going to catch up with Mark. The Men of a Certain Rage are coming back to talk a little stand-up comedy and other things. These are all ideas that we're bringing back and bringing to you. Glad you like it again. Thanks for the bump in the ratings again. It just keeps going in a positive direction. Thanks to you. I appreciate you very much. My name is Steve Cochran, and thank you for listening to Live from My Office.
30 years plus on the airwaves. You have turned your dial to me. Now you're tuned into my podcast. It's Live from My Office, Steve. From Ithaca, New York to Carolina South, W. Cochran Steve. From Minneapolis and then Chicago twice, top rated shows achieved. Sit back, relax, and now listen to my show. When or wherever you are, 'cause you're on the go. A-list celebs with some laughs and great info. Live from my office, the Steve Cochran Podcast Show. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No better place to be. Yeah, 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 yeah. Subscribe and like for free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Live from my office, Steve. So glad you're with me. It's Live from my office, Steve.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event, and occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.